time for joining us today. And with that, I am going to pass over to Joni to formally introduce our session for today. Over to you, Joni.
Thank you, Susan, and welcome everyone. Greetings. My name is Joni Cohen-Mitchell. I am the division lead for the Education Continuum at USAID's Center for Education. I'm thrilled to be opening up our Global Reading Network event, Empower Every Child with Quality Books, which highlights 3 research studies from LIBROS, Learning to Improve Book Resources and Operational Systems, intended to help us better understand how to strengthen the book chain. Excuse me. Lost my place. Evidence tells us that books are a key enabler to achieving learning outcomes in reading, and we all know this. This is why we're here today. They are essential input into foundational literacy and numeracy program success. And finally, books have the potential to foster a lifelong love of learning and of reading. Yet, as we well know, having sufficient high-quality books for all learners remains a challenge in many of the contexts where we work. The 2023 Global Education Monitoring Report dubbed this lack of high-quality books for children as the global book gap, and that's what we have continued to work on for the last decade. USAID serves as the secretariat for the Global Book Alliance, a partnership of donor agencies, multilateral institutions, and civil society organizations that are committed to bringing books to every child in the world by 2030. Through research studies such as those like we're going to hear about today, and through LIBROS, the GBA, the Global Book Alliance, USAID, and its partners can better shape our efforts to close the book gap with evidence, promising practices, and concrete ways to strengthen the book chain. The LIBROS studies you will hear about today encapsulate USAID's desire to better understand both the local and systems levels of the book chain work. At the local level, we gain insights from these case studies into how USAID-supported programming can improve book chain work, contextualizing and incorporating strategies, approaches, processes, and recommendations at the various stages of the book chain. At the systems level, we can use these findings and recommendations in at least 2 ways. At the country systems level, where these insights can offer a ways forward with a larger strategic approach to the book chain, and at the global level for USAID's work alongside our partners to close the book gap. Today, we will hear from our partner, the University of Notre Dame, to share global findings from LIBROS. Then, participants can choose 1 of 3 country case studies to join a breakout session in which they'll learn more from the local research teams and have the opportunity to network with colleagues interested in that topic. Thank you all very much for sharing with us today, and I am eager for the conversation to get started. Now let me turn it over to our presenter from LIBROS research teams, beginning with Jiang Li from Notre Dame. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joni, so much. And good morning, everyone. I am Jiang Li, an educational researcher at the University of Notre Dame, and I'm also a principal investigator for the LIBROS study that we are going to explore together today. So I study effective and scalable policy and program solutions to improve children's school success, such as book supply chain strategies, which is the focus of today's discussion. Our study is a part of the shared activity, which stands for supporting holistic and actionable research in education. SHARE is a cooperative agreement between USAID and the University of Notre Dame involving partners in higher education across the global South. Our goal is to generate and share evidence that can inform policy and program decisions in global education. Currently, several studies are undergoing within SHARE, including the LIBROS study. As Johnny earlier mentioned, the core motivation behind the LIBROS study is really to recognize that children's success in school and beyond requires access to high-quality books. However, we don't have enough of them in some parts of the world. And given the scale and persistence of this challenge, we need a system-wide thinking and system-wide solution that can address the entire book supply chain. However, while earlier, this system-wide approach can take a lot of time and may not be always feasible, in these circumstances, one more practical and alternative approach can be to prioritize the most pressing challenges and find solutions that are tailored to those particular challenges. So in our study, we aim to identify those strategies which we call best practices and explore how they might be able to scale globally and ensuring all children access high quality books no matter where they are. The term book supply chain is very important to our study, and it means a series of activities and processes through which readers, whether it's parents and children or teachers, receive books, whether textbooks or some other supplemental books like storybooks. This process begins with the planning and forecasting to evaluate education systems' book needs in the future, making sure that we have adequate supply. The next step is title development. Here, the focus is creating the actual content of book materials, and this includes writing and editing and translating materials to different languages to meet the diverse needs and linguistic needs and learner needs as well. In the publishing and printing stage, the content is now being formatted and licensed and marketed to preparing it for physical production. Some countries manage this process directly, or others manage this through contracts with external publishers. Then procurement follows, involving the purchase of finished books to ensure the availability in the required quantities. During distribution, this is now where books are moved from production to their final destination, whether directly to the users or through intermediary processes for further distribution. The final stage is where we now use the published books effectively for classroom instruction or independent reading practice as well. So now I'd like to take a moment to engage with everyone. And can you tell us in the chat which aspects of the book supply chain do you support or do you relate in your work? Does your work relate to planning, forecasting, or training teachers for effective use? Let's hear. Okay, so I see a lot of people say, oh, title development, procurement, and purchasing, all of it, active use. Yeah, so I see this is why, like I earlier said, we need improvement. All of these steps, and then we will see how we might do able to do, if it is not all steps, but at least some steps where currently the activity or efforts are very active. Okay, so as everyone's work spans across different aspects of a book supply chain, we wanted to explore improvement strategies that address this variation. So we conducted our study in Cambodia, Honduras, and Rwanda, and each country represents a different book supply chain improvement strategy. In Cambodia, the Ministry of Education and Development partners, including USAID, included a digital track and trace system to streamline textbook ordering and distribution at the primary level. In Honduras, there has been very strong focus on improving capacities among book professionals within the book supply chain, from forecasting all the way down to effective use in the classroom and at homes. In Rwanda, finally, the coordinated partnership between the government and other international partners have significantly enhanced the development of children's book titles, as some of you do currently, and use of those published books to increase or to generate a reading culture in the country. Right. So in all countries, 3 questions guided our work, and those questions include: what are the characteristics and perceived impacts of the selected strategies, such as TNT in Cambodia, capacity building of book professionals in Honduras, and public-private partnerships in children's book title development and use in Rwanda? Second, how and under what conditions each strategy developed and implemented? And lastly, what challenges did they encounter and what additional support is required for their fuller success in the future? In each country, we collected and analyzed interviews with various education book supply chain professionals, and in Cambodia, we also had survey data from school principals. All right. So because we'll have a break room session shortly where my colleagues will present the detailed findings of their study, I won't go into the details. However, I want to introduce briefly the major findings of each country to facilitate your selection of which room you would participate later. So Cambodia's TNT, or called the Track and Trace, is the digital system designed for ordering and tracking textbooks in real time. TNT operates through 3 main platforms, including a Telegram chatbot you see on the right-hand side, and a form assembly and online dashboard. First, the Telegram chatbot lets school principals request the books online and check availability and manage delivery processes. And second, the form assembly enables principals and ministry staff to easily share and update the textbook demand and supply data. And then lastly, the online dashboard, the thing that you see on the left-hand side, allows people involved in TNT to monitor textbook distribution and track where the books are going in real time. Okay. And since its implementation, TNT have achieved several notable successes. And the first, TNT has saved school principals a lot of time in ordering textbooks. Before TNT, the process involved a lot of paperwork and manual dealing with papers as you can imagine. However, now with the TNT, many principals report that it takes just a few days, as everything is done digitally in the app, the Telegram, TNT Telegram chatbot that I showed you earlier. Second, the books are now delivered faster and often before or shortly after the start of school year, and having books available at the start of school year makes children and teachers excited about the new school year. And lastly, before TNT, illegal book sales were very common in Cambodia, suggesting maybe there might have been potential theft or loss during delivery. However, now with the TNT, nearly all principals indicated that they can verify what they ordered, the requested books, and the books that they received in real time. In Honduras, there has been a strong focus and investment enhancing the knowledge and skills of book professionals in the book supply chain. And there were 4 major projects that contributed to this development, including quality reading materials, activities with support from USAID, and from readers to leaders, also as funded by USAID. And then the Honduras Institute of Education by Radio also played a significant role in developing and printing, distributing reading materials, and also train people how to best use these provided resources. And lastly, the project for improvement of technical education in mathematics, supported by JICA, which is Japanese Development Agency, also contributed. So when we look across all these projects, while they are very diverse, these projects shared a common goal of strengthening the capacities of book professionals across different aspects, whether producing books or working at the ministry level or teachers who could use the materials effectively with learners. Okay. And among all of these various outcomes the 4 projects contributed, one of the most noteworthy achievements was this publication of the Supply Chain Manual of Pedagogical Tools and Learning Resources by the Ministry of Education. Before this policy document in Honduras, discussions about books were mainly focused on procurement issues. However, this policy document marked a significant shift in culture and laying out the government vision and strategies for the entire book supply chain. And it also helped increase awareness of book supply chain systems, complexities, and roles and responsibilities involved in each step, bring together professionals have coherent and shared understanding about their roles and responsibilities. And the similar efforts are ongoing, and 2 years ago, a book advisory board member and National Congress deputy introduced a draft decree to enhance the book supply chain and ensure annual funding. Finally, Rwanda has made a great progress in terms of developing and using children's book titles to create and foster a nationwide reading culture, and this progress was made by strong and coordinated partnerships between domestic and international, as well as public and private partners. So the table on the right-hand side show you the brief composition of these diverse partnerships in Rwanda who contributed to children's book title development and creating reading culture. You can see in the first column that we have government actors, implementation organization, international funders, and even private industry, and finally schools and community actors. On the left-hand side, we just show you the same information visually. So you can see how diverse and how interconnected partnerships are. Okay. So together, these partnerships or the partners achieved 3 major successes, such as making book content more culturally and contextually relevant in Rwanda, and also they helped increase the number of available books to children and teachers and parents. And additionally, the Rwanda Education Board recently released a guide to help schools better manage school libraries and promoting reading culture in school and beyond to make sure the effective use of newly produced titles. Okay, so now this diagram brings us back to the supply chain and summarizes 3 different strategies that I just introduced from Cambodia, Honduras, and Rwanda, and where they could be the most useful within the book supply chain. And again, I want to take a brief moment and ask everyone, where and under what context would you consider if you have opportunities? When do you consider maybe borrowing or adapting some of the strategies that we are discussing today in your work related to book supply chain? Can you note in the chat when you might consider adapting? Let's see. Okay. Maybe it's not an easy decision. Okay, so Mali colleagues, someone from Mali colleague said we are trying to implement TNT. TNT is popular, and title development from title development is quite new, but definitely for active use and active use. All right. So we think that all of this is feasible ideas, and we also think that where and under what conditions the 3 strategies we are focusing on could be used, and we try to color coordinate or color code where and the way you might consider using them in your work. Okay. So moving to the next one. So in conclusion, I want to emphasize that the children's success in school relies on access to high quality books, as Joni mentioned earlier. To achieve this goal on a large scale, we need system-wide thinking and solutions to have book supply chain in mind. And we hope that 3 strategies that we are going to explore today will offer some options, some feasible options for everybody who are participating or joining us today or other partners in the future to consider for more investment, for global scaling, to make sure that we provide children with quality books that they need for success in school and beyond. So with that, now I will hand it over to Susan for further discussion. Thank you.